Greetings, I'm Septum Sin, and you're watching Septum Sin vs. the World. So, we have another movie review for you. As you might have noticed, I've filmed most of these on the same day, but of course they will be coming out in different parts at different times. I have a limited filming schedule here. So, this time I'm going to review a series that I would not have thought I was going to get, but it just ended up that I ended up getting, and spending more money on it than I actually wanted to spend. There was a show on Cartoon Network called Super Milk-chan. It was on Adult Swim. And it was almost universally hated by anyone and everyone that talked about it. I looked at it and I was indifferent. So let's move on to this year. I saw that Volume 2 was on our Right Stuff birthday sale for $2. I said, well, I like to have a show that's got one of the lowest ratings on Anime News Network, so why don't I just go ahead and get this? I mean, the first volume is relatively common. There's only 2 volumes out there, and, though it's not the whole series, I think that it will work out well. So, I was wrong. There are not just 2 volumes. And it is a complete run. So, we have Super Milk-chan. So we've got Volume 1. Again, not too hard to find. Found it at Second and Charles. Pretty simple buy. Pretty inexpensive. Easy to find. Volume 2. Again, out of print. All these are out of print. Volume 2, easy enough to find. So, then I found Volume 3, around the same price I got Volume 1 for, which is when I said, wait, Volume 3? There was a third volume to this? Now, part of me was like, how many volumes are there? And then the other part of me was like, yes, I can actually get the entire series. And so, I looked online. And that is when I found, well, actually, this is Volume 4. So, this is Volume 3. But this is where I found Volume 4. But Volume 4 is in such a limited run that it ran me a lot more than the other ones did. Probably more than all 3 of the other volumes altogether. But very, very rare, very limited run. So, I got to sit there and I got to watch this series, and I got to learn a little bit more about it. Like the fact that this is actually not one series, this is actually 2 series, and they split those 2 series up each disc, about 3 of one, 3 of the other. And each one is about 12 episodes long, and all 4 volumes, it's about a total of 24, 26 episodes. And there are 2 discs with each set. The first disc is the basic dub of the show, and of course the Japanese sub of the show. The second disc is what aired on Cartoon Network, which is why I decided to go ahead and finish this off. It did not attract a very happy response, and it was a slightly different dub, done by for most part, the same voice cast. But, of course, there were a couple of changes, and it was done in much the spirit of of course, I've got cats yelling in the background. Much in the same spirit of, say, Ghost Stories or Shinesman or one of those. So, with that being said, this particular one was very interesting in that manner. Their humor was not quite as good. They were being very intentionally raunchy, but again, very interesting. But what really set this apart were the little cutscenes in between, because it told a story of not just what's going on in the episode, but what all of the voice actors are doing at ADV Studio at the time. So you actually get to see Hilary Hag trying to do the voice of Milk, or interacting with some of these other voice actors, and their antics while they're at the actual studio. And then at the end volume, they go to a con, and you get to see their interactions in a con, and even make fun of the show's popularity itself. So what's good about it? Well, This is one of those few that I think is really neat because it actually shows interactivity between the voice actors. Even if it's not real, it's still something that you don't see very often. You don't see the inside of the studio. It's something that you really don't get to catch. And some of the jokes are actually somewhat entertaining, and if you have a slightly raunchy sense of humor like I do, you can actually get some enjoyment and a few chuckles out of the series. Now with that, there is a lot more bad than there is good, as one would expect. The humor frequently falls flat as, you know what, I'm going to be raunchy, well, because I want to be raunchy. Not because it's funny. It's not typically funny. It's vulgar to be vulgar. The fart jokes are because they're doing fart jokes. And with that, it does get old after a while. The animation is kind of blah, and the newer of the two series, sadly, is worse animated than the older of the two series. So I'm not exactly super impressed with this series in that matter. But that being said, I do believe it is an interesting one to have in one's collection. It's one that many people will not have in their collections, so having a complete set does make it worth something, especially when you've got a set that nobody else wants. That tends to up the rarity value. So with that, I would give the series probably about a 5 or a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5.5, I guess. And I would encourage you to check it out. You know, if you get a chance, if you see Volume 1 floating around for $5 out there, go ahead, pick it up. Take a look at it. If anything, it's worth one view. With that being said, you've watched Septum Sen vs. the World. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Of course, share and comment. Thank you very much.